U.S. Election 2024. Mr. Trump, use caution. Large labor unions are not on your side. More Teamsters union members will likely vote for former President Trump than Joe Biden in November, due to Trump's appeal among working-class voters. Following today's meeting with President Joe Biden, Teamsters President Sean O'Brien extended an invitation to Trump to meet with him at the union's headquarters in Washington, D.C. As soon as O'Brien and two Teamsters emerged from their meeting with Trump, a swarm of reporters rushed over to inquire about the nature of their conversation with the Republican presidential contender. Their reply was brief but informative. Their number one priority was the right-to-work law. O'Brien is eager to undermine state right-to-work laws, just like the vast majority of his fellow union bosses. This would allow unions to compel workers nationwide to pay dues. That is why he has told Trump that he could get an endorsement if he doesn't support right to work. Trump has not yet jumped on the bandwagon. On the contrary, what he's doing is arguing that O'Brien should support him since, during his presidency, workers' lives were better overall. Trump has been successful in appealing to workers' instincts, even when doing so annoys union elites like O'Brien. After all, a whopping 80% of Americans are against making union dues a condition of employment. The vast majority of those homes are members of a union. Anyone arguing that Trump should back forced unionism in order to win over the Teamsters should reconsider the idea that union leaders represent the average American worker. Not long after the meeting with Trump, word got out that the Republican National Committee's convention had received a $45,000 donation from the Teamsters PAC. In Washington, people gasped, and among O'Brien's most radical adherents, there was indignation. The Teamsters PAC not only donated to the RNC, but also to the DNC Convention Fund, the DNC Building Fund, the DNC Legal Fund, and the Democratic National Committee's committees for the House and the Senate. This fact went unmentioned in the majority of media coverage of the Teamsters' RNC contribution. That should come as no surprise, considering that Democrats received 98% of the funds donated to the Teamsters PAC in 2020. Union leadership evidently has the freedom to disregard the ordinary people it purports to represent, despite the fact that almost all union members are Democrats. Beyond candidate endorsements, this problem persists. The upper echelons of the Teamsters Union are hard at work trying to repeal Trump administration policies and alter state and federal legislation in order to increase union bosses' influence over union members. Officials from the Teamsters Union are on board with the Biden administration's plan to replace the independent contractor regulations put in place by Trump with a system similar to California's notorious AB 5 requirement. Independent truckers in California who own their own rigs and can work for different companies are in a bind because of AB 5. Union officials are seeking to reverse the Trump decision and nationalize California's standards since it would be impossible to coerce those drivers to accept union representation or pay dues under the Trump standard. Union leaders are on board with the Biden administration's efforts to overturn the election protection rule that the Trump Labor Board put in place to prevent union lawyers from using unfair means to prevent members from voting out unions that the majority of workers do not want. During the press conference that followed his meeting with Trump, reporters wanted to know how O'Brien planned to explain the seeming discrepancy between the Trump and Biden administration's approaches to labor policy, given that he seemed willing to consider an endorsement from Trump. According to O'Brien, listen, there's no question that the Biden administration has been excellent for unions, but again, sometimes debate helps develop difference of viewpoints that will be good to unions and positions moving ahead. What O'Brien means by formulating difference of viewpoints is crystal clear, even though he uses some clumsy language. He is hoping that the former president will support controversial policies, such as the repeal of the Right to Work Act, by offering Trump the chance to back his candidacy. Unfortunately, union-affiliated politicians like Joe Biden are bound to oppose right to work despite its massive support from working people. That is an unacceptable cost for any elected official, including Donald Trump.